What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Collective MMA channel. I'm here with my guy, the Wager Zone, and we're here for another episode of Fight IQ, breaking down PFL Washington DC. Wager, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Was gonna watch some LFA today, but decided we're doing a show, and I'm like the card for LFA is going pretty decently. A lot of upsets for LFA, but for PFL, I want to say I was excited for the card, but now I'm really not excited for the card as much anymore because I really wanted to see Thad Gene take on Musayev in this one, and obviously Musayev got pulled out last minute. And now we're gonna get another fight with Ernesto Rodriguez. So I guess I'm content with the card this weekend.
For sure, yeah, I definitely hear you on that. It was unfortunate to see Mustaev and a few of those fights fall out, but yeah, overall there's still some entertaining fights, and I'm definitely looking forward to breaking each and every one of those fights down with you. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it with our first fight of the night. We got Noah Hermosillo versus Jacob Pais. We have Hermosillo at minus 400 and Pais at plus 300. What do you like in this one?
I like Hermosillo in this fight, but someone this early in their career, I don't know if I can put any stock into them over a minus 300 favorite. He hasn't really shown me anybody like anything against like really good competition. This is a big step up in competition for him, I believe. But I still do believe he's gonna pull it off, just because I do think his wrestling is at a pretty good level, and I think that's what's gonna get him past this test. He looks like a young guy that's probably gonna get better in his career, but I might be looking to fade him in PFL later on once he fights better competition. But I do believe this is a good fight for him just to get to his wrestling and win this one, probably by decision. Just grind it out, be safe. Like it's your first time in a big arena fighting a big fight. So play it safe, get the takedowns, and I think Hermosillo wins this one.
All right, yeah, I'm with you on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna take him. Yeah, there's not much tape on him, but like you mentioned, he has some wrestling, solid wrestling, comes from a wrestling background. Yeah, he's a little bit green and doesn't seem to have the best top control quite yet. But he does have some explosive takedowns and slams if he can get his hands locked. Yeah, he's typically looking to like mount you, land some ground and pound, and hoping that you give up your back so he can lock in that rear naked choke. Yeah, I think he has some good potential. And yeah, Pace is like active off his back. He does a fairly good job scrambling and escaping bad positions. His striking game is also still developing, and he'll jump the guillotine as well, which I'm not, as you know, I'm not a big fan of that. And in this matchup, especially going up against a wrestler, being on bottom position is not where you want to be. So yeah, I'll take Hermosillo, but probably just going to stay away from this fight just due to the unknowns and the price.
Yeah.
So we will move on to the next one. We have Chad Yard versus Coby Bradford. We have Chad Yard coming in at minus 425 and Coby Bradford coming in at plus 325. In this one, like taping these guys, like there's not very much at all. Like I found one round of Chad Yard's first fight, and that's it. So yeah, like based on that, I mean, he seems to be happy to throw on the feet. He'll mix up punches and kicks. At range, he'll throw straight punches, keep kicks, and Bradford, like he has definitely gonna have more experience in this one. He's also willing to mix it up on the feet. He doesn't seem like the greatest competition that he's fighting, but definitely does have a lot more pro experience. And one thing to note in this fight is that Chad Yard hasn't fought in about 5 years, so I'm not entirely sure what to make of that or what's been going on. And I do think the fact that he's that big of a favorite here is definitely interesting. Makes me think that maybe there's something that I'm missing or something that I don't know. But yeah, just because of the unknowns, I think this is another dogger pass situation, and I'll probably just end up leaving this one alone. But as far as a pick, I'll take Chad Yard. What about you?
Same for a pick wise. I'm going to be taking Chad Yard, but I don't know too much about him. Like you said, it's not too much tape on him to go and be really confident in him. So I have to say I don't really know too much about this fight, but I'm taking Chad Yard just mainly because I think the locals know something that we don't. I think there's people out there that know something about this guy that he's going to come out there and be a really good fighter, because I don't see a reason for a guy that hasn't fought in 5 years, that it doesn't have much tape on him, that's such a big favorite in this fight. So I have to think someone knows something about this guy and thinks knows he's a really good fighter to give him this price tag. So Chad Yard's going to be the official pick, but from a betting perspective, I probably won't bet it because I don't know too much about him.
All right. We'll keep on running with our next one. We have Brandon Davis versus Nkosi Ndebele. We have Nkosi at minus 1,800, and we have Davis at plus 900. What do you like in this one?
I like Ndebele. I think he's going to win this fight pretty easily. This guy is a really, really good fighter. Probably the best fighter in PFL Africa. This guy has really good striking. He's very long for the weight class. He also has good wrestling as well. I think he's just all around a great fighter in all different types of all the aspects. And he's shown that he can go all 3 rounds as well. And he won't slow down as much as a lot of other young fighters will. So I'm actually really high on this guy. He's a minus 1,800 favorite. And there's a reason, because I do believe he's going to come in here. He's going to win this fight pretty easily. I think he can win this fight however he wants to be honest. I think this is a big step down in competition, as in like for what his main fight was on PFL Africa. I think people would say, well, how is that a step down in competition? It's PFL Africa. Because I don't really put too much stock in it was a Davis. I don't put too much stock in him. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's all that. And I think Ndebele is just going to pick him apart. I think he's going to outstrike him. We use his length. Also, if he wants to get to the wrestling, he can do that as well. But if I had to make an official pick, I'm going to say he wins this fight by I'm going to say he wins by decision. I think he's going to go all 3 rounds with Davis and probably pull it off with a decision victory.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to take Nkosi here as well. Yeah, like he is a powerful striker and has some good distance striking, has a variety of kicks he'll use, including leg kicks, high kicks, and teep kicks. He'll throw boxing combos on the feet, very athletic, and seems pretty poised in the cage. And yeah, I mean, Davis is a crafty vet who can mix things up on the feet. He's been in some wars and has taken some damage and has had some injuries in his career, so he's not like quite in his prime anymore. But yeah, I mean, he's also fought in BKFC or bare knuckle MMA. So like he's a tough dude, and yeah, was a UFC veteran, had some fights in the UFC. So I do think this line is a little wide. And as far as like method of victory, yeah, I'm kind of leaning like either a decision or maybe a late finish from Nkosi. So just based on that and us both kind of leaning decision, yeah, if he wins a decision, he's like that's not covering a minus 1,800 price tag. If he's a legit minus 1,800, he should come out there and finish him in the first round. So yeah, I do think the line on this one is a little wide, and because of that, I'm gonna stay away from this one. But yeah, as far as the pick, give me Nkosi.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to our next fight, we have Michael Sear versus Bryce Meredith. We have Bryce Meredith at minus 500 and Michael Sear at plus 375. In this one, I think this is an interesting fight. Like you got Meredith, who is a good wrestler, has experience fighting in LFA, Bellator, RIP, and PFL. He's developing his striking game. Like definitely isn't anything crazy on the feet, and he's mainly using his striking to set up his takedowns and his entries. He's got fairly good control from top position and some power in his punches. And yeah, he likes to throw some combos, kind of in like a Blitzy type style. And yeah, like he's all right. I don't know if minus 500 is the best line, or I think it's a little wide here, but I do think he wins. Yeah, I think he's gonna look to finish the fight, and he typically does, which I like. But typically, he struggles to finish the fight against higher level competition and higher level grapplers. He is pretty defensively responsible though, and typically does a good job of defending submission attempts, escaping bad positions, that sort of thing. He also does struggle a little bit when he ends up being the nail. Like he definitely prefers to be the hammer. So when he's the nail and he's the guy getting backed up, he definitely doesn't do all that well. And Sear, like he's got some decent striking. He'll mix it up on the feet with kicks and punches. I think he's going to be a little bit more technical on the feet here, and I also like his like jiu-jitsu a little bit more. Yeah, I think his takedown defense is like all right. I do think he is going to end up getting taken down, a couple of times in this fight and probably end up on his back. He definitely likes to throw up submissions off his back, and yeah, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So yeah, Meredith's definitely going to have to stay on his P's and Q's here. Otherwise, he could get caught in something silly. But yeah, and in his last fight as well, he main evented in the LFA. Put on a pretty close fight. But yeah, in this one, I see a lot of grappling. I see, scrambles, reverses, stuff like that. So I think Meredith is the pick, but as far as a bet, I don't love a side in this fight. I actually gave it a bet for this fight on the video that I just posted. 5 MMA bets in just 10 minutes. So definitely go to check out that video. And I talked about how I like the over 1.5 in this fight. So definitely go check out that video if you want a good breakdown on that. So yeah, for this one, I'll pick Meredith. And as far as a bet, I would actually take the over 1.5. What about you?
This fight, I am going to be liking Bryce Meredith, and I actually like him a lot in this spot. I think Bryce Meredith is due for a good bounce back spot in this fight. He's fighting out of a good training camp in the MMA lab. You have to know that. You obviously know his wrestling is really good. Being a really good wrestler out of the University of Wyoming, and wrestling is elite. And he's going to be coming in here, and obviously, I do believe the striking is getting better. You're training with a lot of killers of the MMA lab. Your striking has to be getting better. So I do like him a lot in this spot. I think he's going to show some improvements in his striking, and I do believe the wrestling is going to be his bread and butter. He's going to get this fight to the floor, and then he's just going to end up probably just dominating with a lot of top control. And I think his striking getting better is what's going to get the takedowns a little more. I think what's it called? What's the other guy's name right now? Who's he fighting? He's fighting
Michael Sear.
Yeah, Michael Sear. I can't remember his name. But yeah, he's fighting Michael Sear in this spot. And I do believe Michael Sear is going to know, okay, all I got to do is stop the takedowns. When you're trying to stop the takedowns, your hands are going to be a little low. And I think Bryce Meredith is going to show how his striking's got better. He's going to be able to land some shots, and then landing those shots is going to open some takedowns. And I do think Bryce Meredith probably finishes this fight. I want to say second or third round. So I'm going to say Bryce Meredith wins, and I think he's probably – I'm going to say he gets a submission in the second.
All right. For my method of victory, I'll pick him by decision or maybe a late TKO. Yeah, I don't know. I think that his Sears very, very good grappler. I'm not sure if Meredith can submit him here, but it'll be interesting to see. And yeah, for me, I'm hoping that fight goes over 1.5. So we'll see how that one goes. Moving on to our next fight, we have Eliezer Kubanza versus Chris Mixan. We have Kubanza at minus 136 and Mixan at plus 116. What do you like in this one?
I like the underdog in Chris Mixan. I feel like a lot of people are liking him as well. This guy has had some money coming on him recently. I think he was like a plus 170, plus 180. Now I think he's down to like a plus 120, plus 130. So money's coming in on Mixan, and I understand why, because I like him in this spot. Kubanza is a very powerful striker. He swings very heavy. He hits like a truck. But I do think he's going to be fighting a guy in Chris Mixan that's going to be able to strike with him in a technical standpoint. And also, if Chris Mixan goes to his wrestling and takes down Kubanza doesn't have the best grappling. On his back, he doesn't look very good as well. And I do believe if he gets taken down, he's going to get grinded out. And then I don't know if this cardio is going to hold up. A very powerful guy that swings heavy already, he might gas himself out just swinging very hard in the first round. But then if Mixan can just push him up against the fence, get some takedowns, and then I think Kubanza by the time midway through the second round, he'd probably be tired. And I do believe that's when Mixan is going to probably take over. So I'm going to say Mixan wins, and I think he can probably get a third round TKO or maybe even a decision. But I like Chris Mixan in this spot as an underdog.
All right. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take Kubanza to win here. As far as like a bet, as you mentioned earlier on this week, Mixan was plus 170, and I think at that line, he was the side. But now at this current line, yeah, I think it would be Kubanza. I'm not sure if I end up betting this one, but yeah, I mean, he's an explosive striker. Doesn't typically rush in and kind of has more so like of a technical or semi-technical style. He'll throw leg kicks, push kicks to the knee, freakishly athletic, hits like a truck. Sometimes he can get a bit wild, but for the most part, he kind of is more so technical until he wants to sort of rip power shots. He has some crazy power in his kicks. And Mixan, he's a solid striker, mainly boxing focused. Typically, uses the hands. The odd time he'll throw in a kick, but normally he's just boxing. He has a good jab and a solid straight right. Has some pretty good footwork and some decent fight IQ and timing. Doesn't defend leg kicks super well, which I think could be an issue for him here. And I just think if Mixan does come out and he's able to get the takedowns and get top control and win minutes, I think that could be smart. The problem is that one, he typically doesn't wrestle. Two, Kubanza is going to be much bigger and stronger than him. So I'm not so sure he's going to wrestle. I think he's going to come out and he's going to look to strike. And I think because of that, he is going to end up, putting himself in dangerous positions, and Kubanza could land the death shot or death touch to him. Yeah, if he does come out and wrestle, he could end up looking like a favorite, and he could end up winning this fight. And yeah, for the record, I think this is one of the hardest fights to call. But yeah, I'm going to take the guy at this line. I'd take the guy who has more finishing upside, in my opinion, which is Kubanza. So I will take Kubanza, and I'll take Kubanza by knockout as far as the official prediction. Moving on to our next fight, we have Sullivan, Cauley, and Rasul Magomedov. We have Sullivan, Cauley coming in at plus 220 and Rasul Magomedov at minus 260. This one is interesting. Although the line doesn't necessarily reflect that, I think this could end up playing out as a very close fight. I think this fight essentially is going to come down to whether or not Magomedov's going to be able to get the takedowns or not. He is a very good grappler, good takedowns, good entries, good top control, and he isn't the best striker, but yeah, he's got very good wrestling. And Cauley, he's fairly well rounded. He wants to throw power shots on the feet, is a little bit hittable and a bit awkward at times, but he does have some decent power. He definitely much prefers to be the hammer rather than the nail. One thing about him is he doesn't react super well to being hit, but he is tough. I'll give him that. And yeah, I think, for Cauley, if he can keep this fight on the feet, I think he's going to be a live dog here. I think if he can keep this fight on the feet, it could be a long night for Magomedov. However, Cauley hasn't fought anybody, hasn't fought a wrestler with the last name that ends in EV or OV. So you also got to consider that. So as far as a pick, I'll take Magomedov to win by a decision or maybe a late TKO. But yeah, probably not going to bet this one. What about you?
I like Magomedov in this spot, but I do believe this is probably the closest fight on the card. I think the line is a little bit off. I think there is some value on Cauley. But like I said, I do agree Cauley is going to be the better striker. He's pretty well-rounded. But Magomedov, I do believe his striking is decent enough to keep up with Cauley. I don't like, obviously, Cauley's going to be the better striker, but I think Magomedov's striking is decent enough. And I just know that Cauley, he tends to get wild. He tends to throw some crazy shots sometimes, starts to get wild, and I do believe that's where Magomedov's going to be able to get into the clinch and be able to get to the takedowns once he starts getting a little wild, and I think that's going to be to his demise. I think Cauley's going to probably look some good in some spots, but once he gets a little too wild, throwing some heavy shots, that's when Magomedov's going to get to the clinch, get to a takedown, and probably take him down and grind him out. I think this fight's going to be close. I think it's going to go all 3 rounds and go to a decision, but I'm going to be taking Magomedov by decision and probably in a close fight, way closer than the line says.
All right. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening. We've got Tyson Pedro versus Rafael Xavier. We have Pedro at plus 120 and Xavier at minus 140. What do you like in this one?
This is a hard fight for me just because I always fade Tyson Pedro. I've faded this guy many times. I won a lot of money fading this guy. But now I feel like this is a good spot for me to go and bet on him, actually. I think this fight is going to be I think this fight's going to be close. And then I do think that Tyson Pedro is just going to be able to put more shots together. I think he's going to have more of the technical striking where he's going to be able to land a little bit more shots. But it's a close fight. I probably won't bet it myself, but because I don't want to put money on Pedro. But still, I'm going to pick Tyson Pedro in this one.
All right. Yeah, this is an interesting one, and I agree this is one of the tougher ones to call. This one's kind of like the battle of the unks here. We got two kind of, veteran journeyman type guys going at it here. Yeah, I think this one's going to play out primarily on the feet. Xavier, he's a good striker. He's got solid leg kicks, uses them along with teep kicks at range, has good straight punches and some decent takedown defense. He's got some pretty good power and timing with his striking. He is a bit more of a plotter and a traditional Muay Thai guy, doesn't really move a whole lot. But yeah, he's got some power and he can do some damage on the feet for sure. And Pedro, being a former UFC fighter, he's got some decent experience. He's a pretty good striker in his own right. Mixes up the strikes and wants to work his jab. He uses a little bit more power, a little bit more movement than Xavier, but doesn't have as much power in the striking. Pedro is fairly defensively responsible, and he also likes to throw leg kicks. Pedro does, but I don't know if him throwing leg kicks against Xavier here is going to be the move. And yeah, I don't know. It's a close fight. It's kind of hard for me to trust either one of these guys, but just since I think it is going to play out on the feet for the most part, I'm going to lean with Rafael Xavier just because I think he hits harder and has more weapons on the feet. But yeah, this is definitely one that could be pretty volatile. And it could end up, I could see a knockout in this one, but I could also see Pedro being just kind of low volume and this kind of just end up being a boring decision. This fight's kind of volatile. Not sure if I end up having a play on this one. So that takes us to the main event of the evening. We have Thad Jean versus short notice replacement Ernesto Rodriguez. We have Thad Jean coming in at minus 900 and Rodriguez coming in at plus 600. In this one, You got to take Thad Gene. Like, as we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, like, yeah, Thad Gene was supposed to be fighting Shamil Musayev, and that fight, opened up as a pick'em. Obviously, there was a lot of confident people on both sides, and I think that was the fight that we definitely wanted. In this fight, like, yeah, Thad Gene, I mean, he's an explosive striker, extremely athletic, has a lot of power in his punches, and he uses movement well. Wants to finish the fight. If he gets you hurt, seems to have pretty good fight IQ. He can also be a bit wild at times, but yeah, for the most part, he wants to land power shots, pressure you. And Gene did go all 5 rounds in his last fight, so I do like that, whereas Rodriguez hasn't. And yeah, I mean, that Gene's 6'2". He's going to look huge in there. Like, he's going to look like a middleweight once they get in the ring, I believe. And Rodriguez, like, I mean, he's a pretty good striker, puts combos together, puts punches and kicks together as well. He'll work the leg kicks, more so like a technical, volume kind of striker rather than a power puncher. And he will go for some takedowns of his own. However, he is 5'9", and he, looks on the smaller side of a welterweight. Like, I think the size difference in this one is going to be massive. You're going to have Rodriguez, who looks like a lightweight, and Thad Gene, who looks like a middleweight in this one. So I'm not sure that Rodriguez is really going to be able to have a whole lot of success with his grappling here. I don't know that this fight lasts super long. I think at some point Thad Gene's going to end up putting some power shots on him and putting him away. So yeah, I like Thad Gene by knockout in this one. Might wait to see. I see the under 2.5 is -165. Might wait to see what some knockout props look like on this one. But yeah, -900 is definitely a bit steep. I see you can get them at -6 and -5 on some books. That's a little bit better, but -900 is a bit wide. But yeah, I think Thad Gene gets it done by knockout here at a pretty high clip. What about you?
Yeah, obviously Thad Gene. I was so excited to see Shamil Musayev take on Thad Gene. That was gonna be such an amazing fight. Personally, I wasn't going to be taking Musayev. I was going to pick Musayev by knockout. I thought Musayev was just going to eventually land a shot on him and land one of those power shots and put Thad Gene out, even though I'm a big fan of both these guys. But I was going to be picking Musayev. But now this is a way easier fight for Thad Gene. Thad Gene should be able to come in here and probably knock out Ernesto Rodriguez. Like, I don't think Ernesto Rodriguez is going to be able to have the speed or the head movement really to keep up with Thad Gene the way he's going to be able to pop those shots off at him. And then I think the only way Ernesto has a chance in this fight is take down Thad Gene. But then Thad Gene has really, really good takedown defense, and it's getting even better. I feel like you have to be an elite wrestler to take down Thad Gene. So I think overall this is the easier fight, way easier fight for Thad, and I think he's going to probably end up knocking out Ernesto, probably second or third round. I think Ernesto might get discouraged himself once he realizes I can't take this guy down. He's picking me apart, and then eventually he's probably going to go for broke, and that's when he's going to get knocked out. So give me Thad Gene by knockout.
All right. We will move on to our next segment, our fighter to watch and our fight of the night. So, Wager, let me ask you, who is your fighter to watch on PFL Washington, DC?
My fighter to watch on this card is going to be Bryce Meredith, just because I do think Bryce Meredith is in a must-win situation, because a lot of people are kind of hopping off of the train at this point. A lot of people are saying that, this guy is not that as good as we thought he was. He's one of the worst fighters in MMA lab. I've heard people saying that. I've also heard people saying he was like a fraud and stuff like that. So I do believe this is a big moment for him. So the fighter to watch is him, just because he's going to probably show off some striking in this fight, and he's going to get to that wrestling. I personally think he's going to win in dominant fashion. So that's why he's my fighter to watch, because there's just so much eyes on him to see if he can bounce back in this one.
All right. For me in this one, my fighter to watch is going to be Thad Gene. Again, as we kind of mentioned a couple of times, I was definitely hoping to see him go against Musayev. I was interested to see how that fight was going to end up playing out. But regardless, this is a guy that the PFL is trying to build. This guy's 11-0, 6'2" welterweight, freakishly athletic guy. Yeah, I think he's going to come out here and he's going to end up putting on an awesome performance and end up putting away Rodriguez in the earlier rounds of the fight. So yeah, my fighter to watch is going to be Thad Gene. What about your fight of the night?
My fight of the night is going to be Kubanza and Mixan, because I do believe that's going to be a very good fight. I agree that's one of the hardest fights to call on this card, and I think someone's going to get finished in that fight. I think Kubanza's obviously probably going to look the better fighter in the first round, but when the second round and third round comes, if it gets there, we're going to start seeing some blows landed between both these guys. I think Kubanza, my personal take was I think he gasses out. But I think in that first round, he's probably going to land some shots. And if Mixan can take them, he's going to probably come back and land some shots on Kubanza as well. So I think that's going to be a dog fight. Someone's going to get slept in that fight. So Kubanza, Mixan, fight of the night.
All right. I'll go with the co-main event of Tyson Pedro versus Rafael Xavier. I think this one is going to be a stand-up war. Again, there was that slight concern in the back of my mind that Pedro could just, be low volume and kind of make this a boring fight. But I don't think that's what Xavier wants in this one. I think he's going to come out and he's going to want to throw some hands, throw some heavy leg kicks, and do some damage in this one. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a stand-up fight. Light heavyweights, typically one of the more entertaining weight classes to watch. And, yeah, I think there's a good chance somebody gets finished in that fight as well. So that'll be my fight of the night. Well, that wraps up episode 6 of Fight IQ. So, Wager, tell me, what do you got going on this weekend? And, yeah, what do you got going on your channel?
The same old. We got UFC, we got PFL, we got LFA. I'll have my own personal videos out for these as well. Baseball this weekend. We got MLS soccer coming back right now. The MLS, a lot of goals are scored in those games. So you guys got US. I'm telling you guys, the US players, they don't play that bad. They don't play that good of defense. So we're gonna get some goals scored. We're gonna cash some plus money tickets on there. And then also right around the corner, we have NFL football about 3 weeks away going into the preseason. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. So make sure you go check out the page, Wager Zone. Check us out. I don't only just do MMA. I do all different types of sports as well. So check out my page.
Sweet, man. Yeah, and for me, I just posted today a new series that I'm going to be doing on this channel, 5 MMA bets in just 10 minutes. So definitely check that video out. I got 5 bets that I like between UFC Abu Dhabi and PFL Washington DC. So definitely check that video out. Definitely hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our uploads. I also have a fighter interview on Sunday. So definitely, hit the subscribe button, turn the noties on so you can catch that. And so thanks again for all the support on all the Fight IQ videos. We've definitely been really appreciating it. And Wager and I have really been enjoying doing this show and breaking down all these different cards for you guys. So keep hitting that like, keep dropping those comments, and we'll be sure to keep bringing you guys episodes of Fight IQ for all the major MMA cards. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.